Today I want to talk about the heart of a true champion. I've been reading over the last few weeks the story of David in the book of First Samuel, and there's so much packed in to the story that I'm sure all of us, whether you find Christianity as your chosen faith or whatever, we've all heard the story of David and Goliath, right? And look, this is a factual story. It's not a made up little kid's tale. It's a fact that goes all the way back in history. So, but there's so much cool things that go with the story, and I feel like it's very relevant to our life today, very relevant to our life in business, very relevant to our personal family life. There's so much in it. What makes the heart of a champion? And when you talk about the heart and when you talk about the story of David, God called David a man after his own heart. So, when we're defining the heart of a champion and when we're talking about the life of David, number one, David was not the biggest. He wasn't the biggest and baddest man that could have gone up against Goliath. He was definitely not the most experienced. In fact, if you're looking at him and looking at his brothers or any others, he is definitely not the most obvious choice. But God has never restricted himself to the most obvious choice. God looks for available hearts. He doesn't look for perfect resumes. Again, maybe you needed to hear that, so I'm going to say it again. God does not look for perfect hearts, or let me rephrase that. God looks for available hearts, not perfect resumes. And doesn't look for perfect hearts either, because David was definitely not an image of perfection. He had a lot of faults. A lot of faults. That too gives me hope for myself, right? Because I know I have a lot of faults. I know where my shortcomings are, but God used David. Everybody else, when they were on the battlefield, saw a giant when they saw Goliath, and they calculated the odds. David saw a giant and remembered his God. David saw a giant and remembered who his God was. And here's what I love: David didn't pretend Goliath wasn't real. He had courage, not delusion. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's obedience in the presence of fear. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's obedience in the presence of fear. So, the other thing too I want to mention while we're talking about the heart of a champion, we're talking about David. Some of us have been equating humility with shrinking back. It's good to be humble, it's good to be meek, but we've confused meekness with passivity. Let me try that word again, passivity. But meekness is not weakness, meekness is strength under control. David wasn't arrogant, but he also was not complacent. He didn't walk into the valley to see what happens. He walked in with faith and with a winning mindset. And listen, a winning mindset doesn't mean that I'm better than everyone. It means God is with me, so I will not live small. Maybe you need to say that line with me. God is with me, so I will not live small. There's a difference between saying I can't and calling it humility versus saying God can and stepping forward in faith. God didn't create you or me to be a spiritual weakling. He created you to stand, to fight the right battles, to protect what matters, and to live with holy confidence. So if you're facing a giant right now, whatever that giant may be, it could be fear, because I've faced that giant before. It could be addictions. It could be debt. Faced that giant before too. It could be anxiety. I think we all have a level of that we face. Maybe it's a broken relationship. Maybe it's a calling you've been avoiding. Remember this: the giant that is right in front of you right now is never bigger than God is within you. The giant that's in front of you right now is never bigger than God is within you. So, what does that mean? Heart of a champion, being like David, show up, trust God, pick up your stones, and don't confuse being humble with being hesitant. A champion's heart isn't loud, it's just faithful. Let's have the heart of a champion as we get ready to finish this year up, head into 2026. We need to step up. I believe God called us to be champions. He did not call us to be weak. He did not call us to be complacent. He called us to stand up, be warriors, be faithful, be obedient, but also be trusting that He's got this. So let's walk in faith like David, pick up the stones today, and let's go to battle. Who's with me? Hope you have a great day. See ya.